So I've decided to try out a new piece of content for the first time, and I'm going to be going through the thought process for lineup building going into game week 349. It's a super exciting week for me because MLS and K League are back, and honestly, most of my strongest players are in those leagues. I've got, the likes of Gil, Cecilia, Kim Day One. I've got some really, really strong cards coming back in, and it's been a challenge this week picking lineups. So I thought, let's try it out. Let's go through the thought process, how I've arrived on the lineups that I'm prioritizing, and why I've played each cards in those positions. And yeah, hopefully you take something from this. Feedback in the comments below. Agree, disagree. Yeah, let's see. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump in and look at my number one priority lineup this week. And it might surprise a few people, but my top lineup this week is going to go into America Rare Pro. Here we are. Quite a surprise. I think thought process behind this is I originally had a very strong America Rare Pro side and a very strong All-Star Rare Pro side, which were mostly comprised of American players. The challenge I've had, and we'll come on to it in a moment, is that it looks like Mamana's not going to be risked this weekend. River have a wonderful fixture, but it looks like he's going to be saved and he will be protected and sort of come back into the lineup during Lannis, which is the next weekend, game week 351. So that threw a bit of a spanner into the works because he is, my best super rare, realistically, and the stack with Armani is what I was intending to run in global. What the thought process then goes is, okay, well, I changed my approach on All-Star Rare Pro and America Rare Pro. The prizes have been awful the past couple of weeks. But with MLS coming back online, there are more stars to play for. And, realistically, this team's got to be challenging for stars. I mean, that's why I'm playing it here. What I think is happening, and it sort of, brings this game theory aspect into it a little bit, but the ETH prizes that are now available on All-Star Rare Pro, make that a very, very attractive proposition. I think what we will see is particularly this week, with a lot of managers having their galleries bolstered, I think we'll see a very, very competitive All-Star Rare Pro this weekend. What was interesting, and I still can't fathom why, is that America prizes were revised by Sorare and increased, but All-Star wasn't. And, we've got MLS coming online, K-League coming online, a bunch of other players with great fixtures coming online. Like you see here, the top pick of my America cards here in terms of pick score on Sorare data is Alexander Alvarado, who has a wonderful, wonderful fixture, but I'd like to use him in under 23. So we focused here on how can I get the strongest possible lineup out. Lanzarote and Villalba, look, I've got 32% bonus on each of those. They're the kind of players that with a clean sheet, they're both going, 60, 70 plus as their base score. With a 30% on that, that's a really, really solid foundation. I love to combine Argentine defensive stacks with MLS and Liga MX forwards because there tends to be far fewer goals in Liga Argentina. What do we got this weekend? Carlos Gil needs no introduction. It's a reasonably tough fixture away from home. Charlotte are not going to be a side that's going to roll over here, particularly at home. And, one thing that came into mind is that Charlotte will be playing their reserve goalkeeper, Pablo Schwarzenegger. And Revs have been looking quite good in preseason. I'm expecting much bigger seasons from Barrero, from Veroni. So I think, there's a chance of Gil's decisive potentials for assists increasing. So, I feel like I get a good score, but not enough to captain him. Then that's the reason is because Juan Brunetta playing Puebla at home is a wonderful fixture. And this guy's just been absolutely on fire recently. I just think he's such a strong candidate, standout pick for captain. And there's only 27 rare cards, I think, in existence. That he's just recently changed from forward to midfielder, which is a lot worse. He's a real differential. Like if Brunetta hits, then it's sort of a real separating factor from the crowd. The next separating factor, and you might look at this and go, okay, you've put Lucas Zelarayan in against Philadelphia in your number one priority lineup. What on earth is your thinking there? Well, I've been in the MLS Discord channel this week, and the amount of Philadelphia stacks are astounding. Everyone seems to be wanting to run Philadelphia D this weekend. What my thought process was here is that if Columbus can break down that Philadelphia defense, then that is a lot of strong teams that are going to be wiped out, and that sort of really should set me apart in America. Why do I think they can break down the defense? Well, one, it comes down to Zella and Chicho Hernandez. Philadelphia have been very, very good defensively, but their centre backs are not the quickest. And what you see with Chicho Hernandez is that his movement is, it's among the best of the forwards in the MLS. Like he really drifts around. If you look at his heat map on someone like SofaScore, he covers so much ground. He's constantly looking to exploit space. And the weakness in Philadelphia D is that Wagner always wants to come forward. So what tends to happen is that there's space that's created in behind Wagner and, to the side of the centre backs. And this is something that Wilfred Nancy was able to exploit last season when he was managing Montreal. And he did it with, players like Romel Quioto. He did it with, significantly weaker players, in my opinion. Like Zelarayan and Chicho are excellent players. And I just think that Nancy's got the playbook to break down Philadelphia, and he's got stronger tools at his disposal to do that. And I think what's really interesting is the challenge is that if Philadelphia counter in play and drop deeper to try and restrict that space for Chicho to run into, then Zelarayan's long shots are absolutely incredible. He gets so many goals from outside the box. So I just think that wonderful combination of the movement of Chicho to exploit space in behind Wagner and Zelarayan's ability to pop one off from 30 yards, that is a brilliant combination for breaking down that Philadelphia defense. I'm pretty confident that Philadelphia will not keep a clean sheet against Columbus this weekend. And I think that if they do concede, then the chances of Zella being involved in that, either scoring or assisting, is pretty high. So yeah, I want to run this and see how I get on. But I think, I'm excited. I really want this team come the end of the weekend to be challenging for star positions. So yeah, I've got very, very high hopes for this one. Next up, and we did mention it a moment ago, is All-Star. All-Star, we've got ETH on there now. That's going to really, really draw the attention of managers that feel that they can compete for that. Do I feel that I can compete for this weekend? Well, yes, I do. Honestly, I do. What are we going to go with? I did plan to run Armani and Mamana in All-Star Rare Pro. Unfortunately, that, didn't come to fruition. So, but I'm still running Armani. River are playing Arsenal Sorare. They're at home. I'm really surprised that the pick score on this is A, because I would give it a AAA as a fixture. This is Arsenal just they're terrible. They sit back. River will have a ton of possession. Armani's probably not likely to exceed 60 points much, because he's probably not going to have a lot to do. But the chance of him getting a clean sheet and Nacho Fernandez racking up AA and getting a decisive or maybe even two, I think is really, really high. What am I building around them? Nicolas Otamendi, who I hope will be at River in a couple of months' time, but for now he's at Benfica. I'm really hoping he doesn't flop like he did last week, because he really let down my All-Star Rare Pro side. But, I've got confidence that was an outlier and that, Otamendi's got a chance of putting up a really good score. Up front, again, player that needs no introduction. I've been, really looking forward to having him back. Is Cecilia. He plays away against Pohang, but I just think Pohang are going to be a weaker side this season. They've lost Shin Jin Ho. And the thing as well with Cecilio is like everything goes through him. So it's just he's one of those like first names on the team sheet each week. The other one is Luis Araujo, and I think I'm really excited about him this season. I'm really excited about his potential. I think one, we've got Georgios Giamakis in, so you've got someone to finish those chances. I think as well, Thiago Almada, I think will have a good season. There was a sort of challenges last season where he and Moreno were sort of using or trying to operate in the same spaces, and it was causing a bit of conflict. Whereas this season, Almada will clearly be number 10. He won't be like 9 drifting in. Oh, sorry, he won't be after the left wing drifting in. He will be number 10. Araujo will be right wing. And I just think the attack looks really dangerous. And Araujo was one of these players that he had a really big difference between his expected goals and his actual goals last season. Like he really did underperform. So I think that there is a lot of headroom for him to improve this season. So yeah, he's where I've sort of gone here, and I really like this. I think if River can keep a clean sheet, I would back Nacho, Cecina, and Araujo all to be involved in decisives this week. So I'm hoping that this can really sort of push forward and put me in the mix for those top 100 positions in All Star, where we get the ETH prizes. Next up, we are looking at my All-Star Rare side. So where is my All-Star Rare Pro? There it is. There we go. So this is my All-Star Rare Pro side. So it's high priority because normally I will say that this is my number one priority lineup. But I just think this week, looking at who I've got available and looking at where I can play them, it just made sense to flip my priorities around a little bit. So I could have very easily, noticed that this team is all comprised of the Belgian Jubilee Pro League. I could have very easily put this into Challenger Rare Pro and pulled my America Rare Pro into All Star. But I don't really like Challenger Rare Pro. I think it's very competitive. There's not as many prizes available. I back myself to, I suppose the upside of this one, I don't think the upside of this team is a star. I think the upside of this team is probably a T1. But if I can win a star in America Rare Pro and I can challenge for a T1 in All Star Rare Pro, then I'll be really happy. And then next weekend we can sort of roll back to bringing in Mamana and looking at how I can build my strongest side in All Star Rare Pro. But we look at this. We've got some solid fixtures. Kofi at home against St. Truden. St. Truden really do not score many. Kofi's been in great form recently. Hugo CK, Open are trash. Honestly, they are like trash can fire at the moment. CK has shown he's capable of decisives. He's playing a right wing back role at Circular. He's doing really well. Yari Vasharin home against Standard Liège is a decent fixture. The only risk here is that has played a lot of games in recent weeks with the midweek Europa Conference League. So he might get subbed off early, but I sort of hope that he can be involved. He will start. I'm pretty confident he will start, and hopefully he can get involved. Face Salamani is just such a wonderful pick this week. What I love about him as well is that he's got a 12.5% bonus because they didn't mint his cards this season. So I'm running Salamani with a really big bonus. He's playing against Zulta. Like Salamani at the moment just seems to be fixture proof. Like he's like Cecina at Daegu. Everything goes through him and he just racks up AA, and more often than not, he gets a decisive. The other one that I just really love is Brian Hainan, against Ostend at home. Like this is just a great fixture. So I think, what I'm looking here is hopefully clean sheet from Kofi. I think Salamani decisive is really likely. Hainan decisive, really good chance of it against Ostend. And then I'm just looking for solid AA scores from Vasharin and CK. I think that's sort of like my realistic upside for this side. I had a bunch of other options that I could have used here, but it just made sense that, the correlation of these players in All-Star Red Player allowed me to play some other players in other positions. And the other players in other positions, this comes to my next one. And I sort of flipped this around. It's like, I'm not sure if All-Star Red Pro or this was my third priority, but they're kind of on equal footing. You might think I'm a little bit mad, but I've gone really, really big on super rare capped 270 this week. The last couple of weeks, I've just been sort of going through the motions with Cap 270. I've been playing my Universitario forwards in there, hoping that they might be covered. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But I was just looking through it this week, and I'm dead on 270. Like, I literally squeezed this in on the cap limit. And if you look at them, Kofi, I already, I'm backing him for a clean sheet this weekend. Open, Jesper Dahlen's the facilitator in this. Open are not great. Dahlen at 41, that you really hope that he exceeds that cap. But then if we roll into the front three, so to speak, we've got Juan Quintero at home against one of the weaker sides in the league. Like, he owes all of us a decisive. Quintero keeps on racking up AA, and his teammates are not delivering on those sort of attempted assists. I really hope this weekend is the one. Because if it is, I really, really think this team has got podium potential in Cap 270 Super Rare. If we look at the lay of the land at the moment, there's less than 100 entrants. I think that managers with really, really strong Super Rare teams are going to want to go to All-Star Super Rare just because of the, star prize, the star prize on offer there, the ETH prizes on offer there. And it's kind of podium or bust for me in this one, but I really think this team has a chance. Kim Dae-won is playing newly promoted Daejeon Hana. Like, that's such a good fixture for him. Anzo Lefebvre at home against Auxerre. Like, realistically, this could end up being Kofi clean sheet, Quintero decisive, Dae-won decisive, Lefebvre decisive. And I think if that happens and Dahlen doesn't drop like an absolute stinker, then this team has to be in the mix for a top prize. And for me, this wouldn't always be this high in terms of my priorities, but this week it just made sense with the fixtures that they have, being able to get this into the cap. And, this really is, I want podium or bust. I want a T1 Super Rare out of this, because otherwise it really didn't make sense pulling these players out of where they could have been played in All-Star Rare Pro. But yeah, I'm quite excited about this one. Will it be worthwhile? Only time will tell. But I think you've got to sometimes take these risks and back yourself to do well, because I think I've got the pieces here to do that. And they're not always going to fit under the cap. You're not always going to be able to squeeze them in. Like, the only reason I'm able to do it this week is mostly because of day one. Like, day one, Gang One were in the promotion when the league split in K-League last year. Day one was in the promotion side, which meant that he played the toughest teams. He had 5-6 fixtures against the toughest teams in the league, and that dragged down his L15. I do not expect his L15 to stay at 56 for very long, particularly with the fixtures they open the season with. So I'm probably going to be using him in All-Star Rare Pro far more frequently as the season goes on. But for this week, it was just, squeezing it into the cap was just that little bit too tempting for me. So yeah, I had to have a go. Where are we next? Next up, under 23 rare. So I did mention him earlier. Alvarado has such a delightful fixture this weekend. I find under 23 really difficult recently. Like, the scores required to win have been like 330, 340 plus. Last week I got close, but ultimately João Felix, as my captain, let me down. The captain is so important. As the game gets more and more competitive, it really is all about the captain and what we can get in here. So Yeah, Alvarado, I'm really hoping for a big, big score. I think Osako has a great fixture, good chance of a clean sheet against a newly promoted side. Josip Sutalo has a decent fixture. We've got Reinders Odegaard against Cambour. Again, that's a really good fixture. Like this upside, I think, we're looking at T1 here. Just because there's a wonderful set of fixtures, and I think if they deliver as I know that these players can, then this is a solid lineup. But as I've seen in recent weeks, like I thought Chelsea at home to Southampton last week was an absolute banker, and it turned out not to be. So it's not all guaranteed in this game, and that's what keeps it fun. That's what keeps us guessing. That's what keeps us sweating to the end of the game week. But yeah, I think this is a solid side this week, and I'm quite excited to see how it gets on. Next up, and again, I've gone to the 270 again. So why? Well, one, there's been a lot of talk around All Star. Adding the ETH in there definitely shifted managers' priorities. And, what I'm really hoping for here is slightly softer competition in Cap 270. And what that means is that, we'll see more managers going into All-Star Rare, All-Star Rare Pro, putting their big pieces in there. I'm fortunate that I've got quite a lot of gallery depth, so I can still prioritize All-Star Rare and All-Star Rare Pro and still get a solid lineup out here. The big challenge with the 270s is the captain. My goodness, 50% is ridiculous. So, it is really, really boom or bust. Like your captain has to hit big. Like realistically, if your captain doesn't go 85, 90 plus, you're done. Like that's how high the scores are have been in this division. But I'm hoping that those type of captain worthy players might be dragged into All-Star Rare because of the temptation of the ETH prizes there. Because realistically, it's kind of top 7, really. If you don't get top 7 on this, like you've wasted a lot of good cards, to end up getting not so great prizes. So for me, what am I laying down at the moment? Carlos Acevedo's the facilitator. Already sort of backed Brunetta. I think Puebla at home's a good fixture. 45 for a starting goalkeeper's, solid cap facilitator in 270. So, he's the kind of player that as long as he doesn't concede 3, his AA would normally get him above 45. If he keeps a clean sheet, then, we're in the mix. Lit Picada, I really like him. He's actually a prize that I won a couple of weeks ago. He plays at wing back at St. Pauli, and he's got real decisive potential, particularly when playing at home and some really solid AA. So I think like he could put up a solid score. Juan Quintero, he is my captain at the moment. I will say there's if I can get a deal in before deadline, I've got a sneaky little card that'll drop in here instead of Fafa Picaud. So let's wait and see on that one, because I think I could potentially strengthen this lineup a little bit and not rely on Quintero to get decisive. Quintero, he's got so much potential. His AA is great. Everything's running through him, but Junior just haven't been able to put any goals away at the moment. If that can change, then his stocks will really rise. But for now, I don't necessarily trust him enough to be the captain. But at 55, I would really like him in this team. Next up, Jefferson Savarino, just a wonderful player as a forward. If you don't have him, be careful. He does have midfielder and forward cards. Again, like he is the player at RSL. Like it just so much involves him. He plays as a winger. Forward card is significantly better. Playing Vancouver Whitecaps away, so it's on paper a tough fixture, but RSL are a very counter-attacking team, and I think Whitecaps will be, at home there'll be sort of pressure on them to sort of get out and attack, and I think Savarino can exploit that, and I think he can grab a decisive. At the moment, I've got Fafa Picaud in here. I'd be happy to run this lineup, but I think there's one sneaky upgrade I can get in, which I'm not going to give away yet because I just want to make sure I can seal that deal before I talk about it publicly. But I still would be happy playing Fafa Picaud in here. I think he's gone from Houston to Nashville. It's a big upgrade for him. personally. I think, Nashville are a solid side. When you've got players like Hani Mukhtar pulling the strings, creating chances for you, I think you're always going to be in a better situation than you were in Houston. So this is where we're laying down at the moment. I would be happy to roll it, but let's wait and see if I can get that upgrade through, because he'd become my captain in here, and then I'd feel a little bit more confident about this side. What have we got left? Well, it's sort of a quick one, really, just rolling through. Challenger Rare. I've struggled in Challenger recently, I'll be honest. I've kind of put this in here because I have Nardi. Nardi away against Club Brugge, not a great fixture, even though Club Brugge have been a bit shaky recently. You're basically hoping he doesn't concede 3 here. You're really backing him to not concede 3. Maxime de Kuiper is, again, a really tough fixture. So this is a bit of a punt, I'll be honest. The Maxime de Kuiper and Nardi, decent players, but horrible fixtures this week. And then the forwards, who've got much better fixtures, to be honest. We've already played for Sharon in the Rare Pro and the Super Rare. Suslov against Excelsior. I think that's a lovely, lovely fixture for him. And then Marco Gruel against Wolfsberger. I think this is what it is. I think it's like it's rolling a lineup that, if I get lucky, I might go T2. I might go T3. It is what it is, really. It's about trying to, make the most of the cards that I have at my disposal and not waste the opportunity to submit a lineup. Which, brings me on quite nicely to the next one, which is Champion Europe Rare. I don't think I've, you can probably look at my entire history of playing on Sorare, and I've probably put a lineup into Champ Europe Rare less than 10 times. Why are we doing it? Well, Chelsea have Spurs away. It's not a good fixture for them, really, particularly with Chelsea's recent form. But it'd be such a shame to be wasting, I've got Badiashile, Enzo, João Felix. It just seems a shame to waste it. If they can buck their recent form and get a result against Spurs, then, brilliant. Like, I've got some upside here. But, realistically, the only one here with a solid fixture is James Ward-Prowse, who was my prize 2 weeks ago in All-Star Rare Pro. So I'm excited about Ward-Prowse. I think, get him in there, you run him as the captain, and you hope for a bit of luck. Like, I'd much rather put a lineup in if I can, rather than just leave it in training or not being played. So, I think this is a roll the dice lineup if ever you've seen one. Another roll the dice lineup is my Champ America Rare. So I really, really like New York Red Bulls defensive stack this season. Coronel and Tolkien. They profile for me like essentially a budget version of Andre Blake and Kai Wagner. You've got a really solid goalkeeper who can make a bunch of saves, rack up AA, and a left back who is heavily involved in build-up play. He's involved in the sort of attacking phases of the ball, and also takes a few sets. I think this is a sneaky pairing for this season, because I think Red Bulls look quite solid. The signings that they've made, they seem to have shifted to they were sort of playing around with formations last season. They had 4-2-3-1. They had, even 3-5-2 at one point. They're 3-5-2-1. Like, they were all over the place. Struber seems to have decided to roll with 4-2-2-2. And it just makes them look a lot more solid. Even losing Aaron Long, you've got Andre Reyes coming in. He should partner Nealis at the back. They look good. Like, they can be horrible, horrible, horrible to watch at times. Particularly their sort of centre-backs who are encouraged to play long. But Tolkien's role in the team is slightly different. And I just think for the price, they're quite fun. Like, it's one to watch. Like, honestly, I put this as one to watch this season. Why is it not in a priority lineup this week? Is because they're playing Orlando away. And I'm quite high on Orlando this season. They've signed Ojeda. They've still got Facu Torres. They've got Erkin Kara, who I also have. Like, Orlando as an attacking threat is really quite spicy this season. So, I can't as much as I like New York Red Bulls, like this opening fixture is just atrocious for them. So it's got in a fairly low priority lineup. The only one really here that has good fixtures are Alaman and Colidao. Colidao, I'm happy to captain because I think he's got a chance of a goal against Belgrano and he's got good AA. Diego Rubio, I'm not sure what to expect. Seattle away is a pretty tough fixture. His role of the team might change. So, but at the same time, someone with an L15 of 71, you can't really leave out your lineups, can you? So it's very much a let's see about this one, but I'm not expecting big things for this lineup. Last but not least, just because I won't bore you with all of the rest of my lineups, but the last one I've gone with here is looking at my under 23 rare pro side. I love under 23. I've got a lot of under 23 pieces, but speaking honestly, it's been brutal recently. Like the scores required to win in under 23 have been, as rare pro, have been so high. And particularly as I've decided to pull Enzo Lefebvre into that cap 270 super rare, this is just a punt. Like I think Ferreira's got a good fixture. I think Mikazadze's got a good fixture. Van der Voort has a good fixture. Like this for me is all about, can I get lucky? Like it's about not wasting the players that I've got, because the truth of the matter is that under 23 Red Pro is probably one of the most difficult divisions to win in the past couple of weeks. It's been really tough. So yeah, I think Paradella's got a really good fixture. He's, River against Arsenal. We've already talked about that. Santini is the wild card here. Like he was benched. I haven't seen him for a couple of weeks. Suddenly comes back into the side, bags an 83 without a clean sheet. So I don't know what to think about Santini a lot of the time. Science coach is a complete madman, but Santini's got a 33% bonus on him. So if he can put up a good score, Ferreira and Mikazadze can grab a decisive, then who knows? It's a low priority lineup for me. And, for me, I'm always thinking about how can I get as many lineups as possible. So yeah, there we go. That is the preview this week. Why have I gone for the players that I've gone for? Hopefully it was helpful. Thank you so much. See you next time.